Hey guys, Tim here with the Geeked Up Gaming Review Group, and we are going to talk about the 9 submissions to the 10-day game challenge, where there were 9 contestants, and we've gotten all of the contestants' videos in, and Jordan has given me the list of everyone. So we're going to go ahead and, first off, before I start going through the games and what they're about, and what we pulled out of the games that we liked, I do wanted to put out front that what we choose is just our favorites, our opinion on which ones we like the best, and then Jordan is actually going to pick who's winning the whole contest. So basically, we're just going to go through each game, what we liked about them, and then we're going to pick our top 3 favorites. So our decisions won't influence who wins whatsoever. So you can call us a judge, but we're not really judging it as in like whatever. But basically, it's just like an outside resource, thoughts and everything about these games. Also, every single one of these games, I know you guys all have the same components, but what you guys did with them visually, on the cards and physically where they were at on the tables, we put that they had very nice components. Now when we say that, we mean like where they were laid at, where they were put on the table, how they were used in the game. Not nice components as in, oh, they had cubes and gems and stuff, because everybody had the same components. Cards, everybody had some really good graphics on their cards. So anyways, we're going to start with the first one. That was on Jordan Goddard's list that he sent to us, and I think he just sent us the list as in who submitted what first. So these are not in any particular order right now. We'll say what our top 3 favorites are at the end, and when I say we, I'm talking on behalf of me and Anna as well. The first one that we took a look at was Centrifuge. And that game was by Isaac, and I'm going to say your last name, and I'm probably going to just screw this all up. Shadev, S-H-A-D-V is how I think it was spelled. That's how I have it wrote down anyway. It's 30 minutes, takes 2 players. It's a 2-player game. Basically, there's 2 cards set up, and they can be in portrait or in landscape. And they have certain things that you need to make a mineral or an item at the end. So you would be able to manipulate either the dice on the left or the center one on your side. The dice on the far right is your opponent's dice and can only be manipulated by them, and as well as the cards over on your right hand side that are numbered 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. The ones that are with the 1 on them, they're going to face you. The 2 is going to face your opponent, but you cannot change the card on your right hand side. When you're looking at your cards, you can't change the one on the right hand side. And it's kind of cool seeing that you could manipulate the dice, and if you had the cube resource to put them together, and then you had to do, from what I took, you had to do all your manipulations up front. You had to do manipulations first, and then whatever gem you have, or whatever cube you have, would reward you with a certain gem, but you could also manipulate gems. So the note that I wrote down was that you get 2 manipulations, or you can do 1 manipulation and 1 process. So if you do manipulate a die, whether it be any of the 2 that you have access to, or the gems, or manipulate a card, then you can do that in 2. Or you can do 1 of those, 1 die, 1 gem movement, or 1 card movement, and then you can process to reward yourself with a gem. So you could go through the motions of, do I have the right materials to make this gem, and get that. And then or you could do 1 retooling. And retooling was taking a card from the center and placing a card from the outside to the inside. So that was a really cool concept. So that's Centrifuge, kind of in a nutshell and really quick. The next one we looked at was Star Eaters. And again, remember, these aren't in any certain order. These are just the way that Jordan placed them to give them to us. Star Eaters is a ship-consuming, what did I put? Ship-consuming cards, and you can only play in 6 rounds. So basically, you're moving ships, and certain ships move in certain ways. I think the purple ship, when you move it, it can also manipulate. I think it's like the most powerful. I wrote it down. Purple can go anywhere on the board. Okay, so green is the most powerful, but it can only move to an adjacent card or map tile. And also, if there's a ship on that card that it moves to, it will also activate that ship, and then you can move that ship as well. And then you can also purchase cards that are part of the map. So as you're playing, the map can get smaller. So if you have a lot of people, or if you have the players all buying cards, the map's getting smaller, and you're only playing for 6 rounds. So I thought that was kind of cool. And the fact that they took the gems and used them as spaceships instead of using the cubes or whatever, they used them as ships instead of rewards or instead of loot, which I thought was kind of cool, because they've kind of reversed the role of the gem, because the gems are usually rewarding and stuff like that. So in my mind, I was thinking of these ships that are made of clusters of stars, and as they come up to other clusters of stars, they're consuming them, and they're just, in my mind, was making the ship bigger, but there was no physical attribute to show how the ship was getting bigger. That was just my mind taking over. That game is by Andrew Yoland, if I said that right, and I'm sorry, I'm probably going to get a bunch of these names pronounced incorrectly. Oh, and the other thing was that the creator was, when he was simulating the play, he was actually thinking about every movement. So I put a note down that says, I like how even the creator thinks about his way of play, meaning a lot of strategic gameplay ability. So, even if the game creator is thinking about where he's moving, then I can tell that there's a lot of stuff that can go on. Unfortunately, I couldn't see all the cards very well on what they did, and we only saw a few through the gameplay. And I probably should have looked at the images that they gave us on the tab that we could have clicked below the video. But I didn't do that. I tried doing everything based on the rulebook and visuals in the videos. So I read the rules so that I would understand how the game was going in case the videos were a little, what do you call it? Clunky was the word, and it was a new term that I heard, and I just read that in my Pathfinder core rulebook. I was like, never heard that term, and now I've heard it twice in one day. So anyways, the third game we looked at was Proximity. That was by Spark Games. That's a team of 3 guys, if I'm correct from the video. Looking at just the thumbnail, I saw some of the artwork on the cards. I was like, okay, so they put some graphic design into this, and it seemed like that some. And I don't base it on just that, but visually it was a very attractive game just by looking at the thumbnail of the video. If I saw that on YouTube, I'd be like, alright, let's click that. Let's do that. So looking at just the thumbnail of the video, I really got excited about seeing that one. And then once I saw it played, I thought it was awesome that your map is random. It's just, you take all the pieces, you shake them in your hand, they fall down on the table, and then you can only claim those prizes not only on your turn, but also on an opponent's turn. When they move something, then they can take the card that they have, and it would have it would be like a card, and it had 2, an orange and a green cube on it. And then if there was an orange and green cube on the table, you could take that card, put it down on the green and orange cube table, or on the table as they were sitting, and they had to balance on the 2 cubes and couldn't fall over. If it fell over, it went back to the stack, the deck, and got shuffled back in, and you just lost those points of opportunity. To move stuff, you actually used a scale. There was a scale on one of the cards, the rule card, and it had the long side was a long movement, the short side was a short movement, and then there was, if you rolled an O, then you can only get half movement of a certain line. So if you rolled, I think an O and an L, which was, it was short half movement, something like that. That might be wrong, but somehow you got a half movement with the O, and I thought it was really cool. I was like, well, how do you measure your movements, and how do you know what direction you can move them? The dice depicted on what direction, but there was also the free mode, where you could take the card and spin it however you wanted, and then move it the distance of the card. So that's a really cool way to do measurements with only the pieces that were given for you guys to do these games. I think this is awesome. I did not expect this much to come out of the components that we had, that Jordan had given you. And a little side note, Jordan had created this whole thing, the contest and everything, and then I actually met Jordan through doing a review for his collapse. And ever since, we've been talking back and forth, and then he did this contest. I was like, hey, would you like any outside opinions? So that's how we got on board. So let's go ahead and jump to the next one. The next game is called Twerk. And as soon as I saw the title of this, I started to laugh. I was like, really? You named a game Twerk? Well, when I think of Twerk, it's not what this game is. This game is a rapid speed, created an 8-letter word before your opponent is. This one's by J.R. Honeycutt. And I was really impressed with this because there's actually a learning curve to this game. You can actually possibly teach anyone the language of English with this game. You're taking stuff, and there's some cards with vowels, there's some cards with 2 letters, there's some cards with 1 letter, and you kind of combine them in the way that you want to make your 8-letter word. And I have the note that says this title made me laugh. Game is to exercise the mind. I've never thought of a game where I did a game a long time ago, a review for a game called Japanese, and it was okay. I just didn't have enough cards to do what I needed to do. I think it was mostly because it's a different language, so I was trying to get used to it. And I've seen other games come out that are like board games, but I've not seen a card game depicted on how he did this one. If reading the rule book and then seeing how he was doing it, holding the cards up, it would have been a little bit better visually if I could have seen it on the table. But the way that he described the game it's really cool that someone took cards and just wrote on them, and then that was the easiest part, and also didn't need a whole lot of the components in the flip side. And also creating a mechanic in there to where when you use the green gem and put it inside your word, no one else can build on top of that word. Like, he used the reference of diamond. Like, if he has the green in there marking as a letter, then no one can add an S to diamond and make diamonds, make it plural, as more than one, and take over the points for that word. So it's kind of cool to see that. And it's not the first one to make 8. That's who wins the round, and then you play in a series of rounds. Or you can make it shorter. He said that there's a variant where you can play with 5-letter words. And if you do 5-letter words, then it makes it a little bit easier because it's shorter. So that was kind of cool. I was really impressed with that. And I really liked it. I was kind of, when I was watching, I really didn't know what to say about the game. Not because it wasn't any good. I just was like, oh, well, somebody put a learning curve inside their game that exercises your mind. I mean, all these games exercise your mind, but this one was like, if you're trying to learn new words and stuff. Maybe if you moved out of the country, you could play this game, and you can learn, if you were from some other country and you came to the U.S. and you wanted to learn this language, our language, or just better yourself in the language. I know I could do it. I could use some literacy correcting. So I may be actually printing this game off and actually using it to my benefit for just my English, my literature. So the next one that we looked at was Total Party Wipeout. This one, I really like this one. It's by Cow and Duck Studios. And it's Dungeon Delver, and you have your 3 white cubes which represent your party, and then you have like rogues, clerics, and warriors, I think it was. And you have your start card, which has also got the boss on the flip side, but you don't get that until you have the correct amount of loot to come in and unlock that boss card. So I've played Dungeon Delvers kind of like this, but I didn't have the upgrade ability of actually turning my guy into a rogue. I was either a rogue and could get access to certain weapons, but I couldn't start at being like a freelancer, which is the green cubes, and turn into a rogue, which I think was yellow. If not, I have my colors mixed up. And it's kind of hard to remember everything from all the games. And do this one continuous video where there's no cutting and everything else. So I thought it was really cool that there was available class upgrades, not so much equipment upgrades. Because I've played a lot of dungeon games that have equipment upgrades, like your shields, your swords, your spell books, stuff like that. But this one you could go through halfway around, in the dungeon, and then be a regular guy, and then you could go through the other half and be a wizard or whatever. So I thought that was really cool, and they had some really cool randomization of where the rooms would be and who they would encounter in those rooms, because you would take a card, you would flip it, put it on a corner, and some of the cards had 4 corners were available to build on. Some of them only had 3 corners where you could build on them. So like the dungeons would kind of intertwine and weave, and it was kind of cool to see a map generate from cards. And seeing the different creatures and everything that you encounter, and all the different, and how to pick the loot up and stuff. And then the other cool mechanic is that they actually incorporated the name of the game into the game. So if you lost all your guys, it was a total party wipeout. So I'm guessing that's where they got the name of the game, or maybe they made the name of the game and built the mechanic. Either way, it was kind of cool to see the title of a game being incorporated into a mechanic of the game. And I really like it when songs do that, and I like it when games do that. I like it when books do it, stuff like that. So that's all I'm gonna have to say about Total Party Wipeout. I definitely like that one. That one is amazing. Let's go to Warehouse Cyber Heist by Jonathan Lestico. And I also gave some credit to Desiree Ward for being one of your test players. She was in the video, so we'll put her out there as well. And I apologize if she didn't want to be out there, but she is now. So what's done is done. The past is the past, and the future is now. So let's talk about like the theme of the game. Okay, so it is a futuristic game. You are depicted as a rent-a-cop. Obviously, you're not getting paid very much if you're a rent-a-cop, and so you're on borrowed time pretty much. And you are going to be moving around the warehouses, and you're basically collecting data gems and stuff like that. Now, the only thing that happened with this game that I didn't like is that I kind of got lost on the data gems and stuff like that, and why we were collecting those. I found it was kind of cool that the way that you move through the game, I know I'm kind of going away from the data gems because that's a negative thing, I don't want to focus on that. The really cool thing I want to point out, that it was a type of programming game. You could use certain gems to move forward, certain ones to move right, certain ones to move left, and then you also had the part where you did the collide thing, and then you had to guess. You would take the white dice and hold them under the table and put however many in your hand, and then bring it up, and then they would guess 0, 1, 2, 3. And then if they had the marker, they could also guess 1, 2, and 3, but every time they would guess and didn't have a marker, they would have to guess 1 to 2 or 0 to 1. And 0 to 1, I think, is the lowest that you could go. And I think that mechanic should have been reversed. Where when you had a token and put it in, then it should come down to a 50-50 ratio. So it was either a 1 to 1 instead of a 2 to 1 or a 3 to 1. Because if you had that gem, then you should have had the capabilities of picking 50-50. So you can only be 50% wrong instead of being a higher chance of being wrong. But I think it works the way it is. So, Warehouse Cyber Heist, so, you got the warehouses, and it's in the future, so that's where you get the cyber part. And, swapping cubes after action keeps you from using. I thought it was kind of cool that when you say, I'm going to move forward, you're going to move left, you would actually swap the cubes if they were different. So if you put out one green and one yellow, they would swap. But if they were green, then there was no point in swapping. They were the same. I really like the guessing aspect with the green gems. Let's go to the crashing. Choose one gem from other player. Colliding is good if you're losing. I know I'm kind of jumping around on this one. So when you would collide, you would actually pull, you would like basically swap gems. But if you didn't have any, then you would take from, and the other player would not take anything. So you're basically, if you were losing, you would take from them everything and give them nothing. And if you guys can quote what movie that's from, you're my best friend. Alright, let's go to the next one. Alright, Portal Raiders by Andrew J. Lucas. And the art was done by Natalie, and I can't read my own handwriting. I'm sorry, Natalie. But she did the artwork for the game. So let's go ahead and go to... this was another one where I looked at the thumbnail and I thought it was really cool. You know, I saw the warriors and how you could upgrade their abilities and add equipment to them, and it was kind of cool that they made the portrait. Yes, portraits up and down, landscape sideways. Okay, so the portrait was actually your character, and then the landscape card would slide underneath it, giving them attributes, and then you could add up all the attributes, and you get all these pluses and everything, and really making your guy a lot stronger. And I thought it was really cool also that when the you could only attack when the portal was open. So making a game where you're attacking each other but having that block of the portal was really cool. So it was like, I don't know how to explain that, because it's the first game that I've ever had where a portal, or I've ever seen. I don't have the game that I've seen, where you have to go through a portal to attack someone else. So I've never seen that. So that was a brand new mechanic for me personally. If there is a game out there that's like that, I've personally not come across it. So I'm not going to say that this is the only one out there. I'm just saying that this is the first one I've seen where you have to go through a portal to attack your opponent. Let's see what else I have right here. Yeah, okay, so abilities, love when the word... Oh, that's what was the thing. The term summoning. That's one of my favorite terms. When I hear that, it's like, oh, when I summon, it just shows up. You know, it just, boom, there it is. And I was like, yeah, okay, I like that term. So you summon your characters, or creatures, whichever we want to call them, and then they're like your little minions. So let's go ahead and jump to Space Privateer by Thomas Goddard. It is G, not J, I think. Goddard. The note that I have here is attack, take, run. So you can attack, and then you can take, and then you can run. So the completing missions, collecting resources, and taking bribes. The thing that I want to highlight is taking bribes. If you and someone else are competing and chasing someone down in a run, you can actually like bribe someone off and be like, hey, will you let off the chase? Just let me have this guy. Let me go get him, take him out, whatever. And I've been playing a lot of games that are like that lately. Sheriff of Nottingham, Sons of Anarchy, Men of Mayhem, and I think that's the only two I can think of right now. But anyways, that's the only two I can think of that where you can take bribes and just kind of like negotiate with someone. So having another game that has the bribing aspect, it stands out to me because I love the bribing. Like paying someone off to get off your turf or leave you alone or whatever. So that's what kind of stood out to me, and I really liked it. Is that even a word? Really liked it, and so that's what I'm gonna say about that game. Is that there's a whole bunch of other stuff in that game. I'm trying to keep everything short and kind of whatever. And I know I've talked a little bit more about other games, more than some of the other ones. But I'm gonna go ahead and jump down to 9, so that way I don't have to cut my video because my battery is at like 25%. So I've only got like about a few minutes, so it's about to go crossbones. Alright, so we're going to talk about Candyman. Candyman, the aspect that this food is related is really, really, really makes me want to play the game. Just the aspect of seeing all the food and seeing that there's sugar and caramel and chocolate and all this other stuff. The cards, and like I said, I don't know how you guys did this within 10 days. Came out with all these graphics and everything and all this awesome artwork to go with the games. You guys came out with titles and logos and all this stuff. It took me, I've been doing the review thing for a year. It took me 6 months to come up with our Minotaur Tauren logo. So, you know, it took me forever to come up with a logo. And mine's so simple. It's red, white, and blue. And you guys came up with logos that have like the candies and the Candyman and then Portal Raiders. You guys all came out with some really cool logos and stuff. So I'm really impressed with everything. Back to Candyman. The cards are all in a pool, and you're basically all putting your resources on the same cards, and the person to fill the slots at the end actually gets to claim the candy. So like there was the Jack and Pack bar and stuff like that, so they all would have, so James and Patrick were both putting stuff onto the boards. And I forgot to say that this game was by Jack and Pack, so there we go. Yeah, so I talked about as a food aspect and very colorful cards and components. Obviously everybody had the same components, so they're all colorful. But those of you that used, I'm kind of going away from all the games now. I'm just going to kind of like do like a little wrap up. The fact that you guys used a lot of the colors from the components to the colors of the cards and incorporated that on stuff laying on top of each other was kind of cool. And like I don't know how you guys did this in 10 days. Some of you didn't even have the whole 10 days. You guys got the components and only had 4 days. And that was, you know, because it takes longer to get to certain people in the States. I wish you guys all had the same amount of time, because I can see where some people had to focus on mechanics, some had the time to focus on some artwork. I think every game right here had a front-running game. There wasn't a single game that I was like, this is complete, like, just terrible. And me and Jordan were talking. He's like, man, these these guys have some way more talent than I do. There was a couple of games. There was a game, certain in particular, that we talked about, where he said that, you know, we've seen games come out of certain places in the past, and this one kind of fell short from this creator. But I'm not putting who that was that we were talking about. But, you know, there was some stuff that we were like, this game, obviously every game could have been better. But then there was like a couple that we looked at that weren't up to par. There was like a little bit of a stumble in the rules or something. Something that was not moving as smooth as it could. But it moved smooth enough that it works. It is a game. It is out there. A lot of you guys, based on these components, I would highly suggest pursuing to do Kickstarters for these. I think a lot of these, I think every single one of these games could possibly get back, like, you know, do like a little small run, you know, just to have a published game under your belt, you know, something that you have an experience. It'll give you a new experience. Kickstarters, running Kickstarters, I love help promoting Kickstarters and getting those out there. I'm gonna try to do as much as I can for Jordan and get his stuff out there. We recently did one for Medieval Man Studios. We did the Tavern Brawl video for that, and we actually got 3,000 views on that video alone. And that's our highest video. So don't think we get 3,000 on everything. That's was like a huge hit for us. We're glad that we got those views. But it's nice seeing games develop like this, and these are. I think that some of these games, you guys are way past prototype. You guys are ready to be printed. I think that you guys could get some publishers on board. And the company I'm thinking you guys could get published by is definitely Tasty Minstrel Games, TMG. They do a lot of pocket-sized games, and your guys' games are all pocket-sized. And I think that you guys have simple enough mechanics that these would be I would highly suggest these to TMG. And I will try to reach out to TMG. We've done a couple of games. I have a couple of games of theirs that we're doing reviews for. I got Coin Age and stuff like that. And they have a game that actually it's called Templar Intrigue. And it's not back here right now. But you guys can also see that I have Topwise Games here. Monkeys Need Love too, and I also have the Hogger Logger. Those are Kickstarter games that I think they're both still running. I know Topwise is still running. They have about 50 hours left. If you guys want to check that out, go to Kickstarter and check out Topwise Games. Monkeys Need Love too. And so I mean, and I know that's a little off subject, but I think it's related, and I can't stress out enough how much I love seeing games develop like this. You guys all did a great job. I'm really happy that I contacted Jordan and was like, hey, do you want an outside opinion? Because if I had not, been talking to Jordan prior to this, then we probably wouldn't have been doing this video right now. So anyways, my battery is crossbones right now, so I'm going to let you guys go. You guys all did fantastic job, so I'm anxious to see what you guys did. So my top 3 picks, which we didn't get to, my top 3, my number 1 pick was Proximity. That was my favorite out of all of them for the graphics and everything. The second pick, my number 2, was Star Eaters, and number 3 was Candyman. So, alright, I'm Tim, the Geeked Out Game Review Group, and this is Jordan Goddard's 10-day game challenge. You guys did great. We'll see you guys in the future. Hope you guys get published.